to Everyone Racers, a show designed for the world of low-dollar racing and oddball car culture. It doesn't matter what kind of limit champ or lucky track dog league you run, SCCA or NASA, we don't discriminate. As long as you drive it hard and built it yourself. Join us each week for tech discussions, tips and tricks, as well as news and notes from the world of amateur endurance racing. And whether it's on the spot, hella sweet, or we're lucky enough, and Chrissy gives us just the tip, we're sure you'll giggle a little and learn even less. Everyone reports the paddock.
And that's it. You're only getting me. There is no Chris. There is no Chrissy. There's no Jeff. There's only mental. And for that, I apologize. But I am going to say welcome to everyone, racers. Very happy you guys are here. So as the season winds down and we get a little, starving for topics, I guess, you might expect to see some of these more abbreviated episodes more often. Now, we've contemplated the idea of all the guests, but there are other endurance racing shows out there that do the guest thing a whole lot better. Some of them even have me on there. If you've been paying attention to Garage Heroes in Training, it's a good show. So we don't want to do that. That's not what ours. So we're going to try and maybe every other week until the racing gets back up on there. This week, it's just going to be an abbreviated episode. We're going to talk about a few news and notes things, and then we'll just wrap it up. But this is episode 316. Now, the BMW 316 initially started as a reference to the 3 Series Coupe and the 1.6 liter that was available. And actually, an iteration of that car has been in the E21, the E30, the E36, the E46, the E90, and even the F30 BMWs all had iterations of the 316. None of them were available in America. So there you are. So if you're rolling in your boring BMW with a really, really, really tiny engine, how did you get it over here? Because it's impressive. What are you working on? Well, it's just me. I went for a great drive this weekend with some local folks here in Las Vegas, the Porsche crew. We went down there. We drove just across the border into Arizona, into Topak. Nice little spot along the Colorado River, just a few miles up from Lake Havasu. Nice curvy road up there and back. Had a good time with the folks on this one. I've been on the last 2 iterations of Bid Nerds. If you haven't checked that show out, it's live every Sunday and Wednesday. And for those who are watching on YouTube, yes, I got a haircut. So the hair is now gone, donated on its way to Wigs for Kids. That was the various charities, and I don't think there's any wrong answer. That one had a really strong stylist here in Las Vegas. She spent like an hour and a half on my hair. It's fantastic. So there's that. And we're just going to move into the news and notes aspects of it. We'll start straight out with, I may not love the Corvette, but I don't hate it. I do, however, love Corvette racing. That's the actual factory team. But I also did love racing Jeff's C4 at HPR. Now, Chris Rosales over at The Drive tells us that factory effort is now coming to a close for 25 years, 127 victories, 9 24 hours of Le Mans wins, 14 championships. Corvette Racing as a corporate entity is packing it up. This weekend's event at Road Atlanta is the end. No worries. You're still going to see Corvettes and endurance racing through a customer program, including our buddy and former guest, Trevor Andrusco. The legendary racer, all-around character, Instagram person, Jordan Taylor is already back in prototypes. And Chris Rosales does underscore the attitude of Corvette racing, calling them, quote, hard-charging, never-say-die racers that fought to the very end. This year alone, its last actual year, the team secured a class victory at Le Mans World Endurance Class Championships and several race victories. And if you want to see one of the best examples of Corvette racing being Corvette racing, we've got the battle between Jan Morgensen in a Corvette C6R and Jorg Bergmeister in a Flying Lizard Corvette GT3R at Laguna Seca back in 2009. Link to that is in our show notes. It's pretty awesome. And I don't want to double tap the Drive for news and notes, much less Chris Rosales, but the next story is also interesting and he penned it as well. In another piece there at the drive, speed cameras are coming to Los Angeles. Now, I don't live in Los Angeles. I have no desire to live in Los Angeles, but I still find myself there several times a year. And I'm going to be honest, this should be hilarious. Now, according to the article, the pilot program is scheduled to run for 18 months in Los Angeles beginning next year. At first, the speed cameras will only be installed in specific high-risk areas, including certain sections of freeways, school zones, and streets with chronic speeding issues. I just remember what they did to all the speed cameras in France, and California is not known for its kindness to these kind of devices. And every time I've been in Los Angeles, I think the bigger problem is not necessarily speeding, but the giant traffic jams. I predict folks will also be trying for new records like they did in Arizona a number of years ago, while other people are just going to come after them with hammers and spray paint. So more on this story as it develops. And of course, we would be remiss if we did not recommend the latest piece from Judge Sajeev on Haggerty. It's the story of Linda Rhodes. She's an activist in Louisiana, and she is on a quest to find homes for her father's collection of over 100 flagship domestic vehicles that he acquired before his death. And it's a great human interest study that bridges the gap between Linda and her father. And Sajeev describes her father as, quote, an American necessary, one made possible by a good middle-class job typical of the era. The cars were mementos of his life, each an individual moment reflecting of both charm and, on the flip side, tragic self-absorption, which is the very thing that Linda is trying to reject while she's getting rid of these cars. And a link to that great story is also in our show notes. Now, you know what is always included in our show notes is a link to something fun over on Racing Junk, and this one is no exception. What we have here is a Fiat X19 that actually ran at Bonneville, and it has got, quote, award-winning paint job. And I'm not going to say it's a pretty good paint job. I'm just wondering why you do Bald Eagle America on an Italian car that's known for losing its reverse gear. But it's in Edgewood, New Mexico. It's only $4,000. And it is started his career at Bonneville. It's been extensively modified to run vintage class there locally. It's got dual Webers, new fuel cell coilovers, aluminum radio, and 2 parts cars come with it. So you're getting 3 cars for $4,000. So check that out if you're interested. Obviously, a link to it will be in our show notes. And while you're over there on Racing Junk, check out that Pro Club membership. Save yourself a little coin, do some joy scrolling. You get 5 ads, 50 photos per ad. You can dashboard, see who's watching your items. You can keep all this stuff. Favorite search, you get access to early. It's a good thing. All right. And if you're on Racing Junk looking for race cars, you're probably interested in racing, which there are 2 events coming up this weekend. You've got Champcar at Road America. There are 67 cars. 16 of those are BMWs. I know it's a 316 episode, but boring. 13 Miatas, 5 Hondas, 3 Porsches. But they also have an 84 GTI, a 79 Trans Am, and a 1978 Malibu. We haven't talked about American endurance racing for a while. They've been in there, but this is their last race of the year. They are going to be at Mid-Ohio. They've got 33 cars, 18 BMWs, 3 Miatas, 2 Hondas, 6 Porsches, a VW Rabbit, a 350Z, and a first gen RX-7. And that's literally it. That's everything that's running out there on that one. We're not really going to do a whole lot of recent results or listener feedback because, as I mentioned before, this is just a compact episode. There's not going to be a main topic, but I do want to talk about Mike Mayers. Now, Mike Mayers is Team Tiny Vette. He races that tiny little Opel GT, became the Opel GT de facto genius and consultant. He runs the website and the registry, and he's just an all-around great person inside and outside of the endurance racing world. And he has run into some medical issues. So we've got a link to his GoFundMe. We put it on our Facebook page, and it'll also be in the show notes. But if you've just got, $5-10, anything like that, they've actually exceeded the goal for there. And it was not a huge amount, but it's just looking to make sure that Mike gets taken care of while he's in this slight health condition. So if you've got a couple of shekels, go over there and help out Mike. That's the show. I know it wasn't very exciting and my voice kind of drones on, which is probably a good reason that it's show. But thank you for downloading us. I hope you enjoyed this miniature version of Everyone Racers. If it's terrible, tell me. If you like to see this, tell me that too. We might either bridge the gap with these or just go to bi-weekly until the whole racing season starts back up in the spring. We'll do our thankfulness episode. We've got next week, we'll be doing the New Hampshire Halloween Hoopty Fest preview. We'll have the whole gang back together. It'll be fine, but we hope you will join us in the world of driving, racing, and building, because everyone can be a racer, even you. And if you enjoyed this podcast, subscribe. It's totally free. We don't charge for any of that kind of stuff. And then go to iTunes and give us a 5-star rating. Even if you hate us, even if you hate me, just give us a 5-star rating and then tell us why. You've got any questions, show ideas, drop us a comment on our Facebook page, Everyone Racers. Email us at everyone.racers@gmail.com. And yes, I am getting everyone's junk photos. It is awesome at 484-243-0455. Love you guys sharing that stuff with me. Find us on Instagram at everyone.racers, YouTube and Facebook under Everyone Racers. And I've been neglectful of this, but we do have a Reddit community at /E1R. Thanks again. And until next week, keep that shiny side up unless you're missing 2 out of the 3, and then just try and hold everything together.